Hey guys, it's Berrycat, and today we're going to be doing a Meet the Artist 2026. It's one of my new goals to do a Meet the Artist every year to see how my art style develops, as each year I am trying to draw myself, so it'll stay consistent. This is the fourth one I've done. I did one last year on my birthday, but this year I was really busy on my birthday, so I've ended up doing it now, and I think I'm going to stick to doing them around this time each year, so like start of summer, just so the time in between doesn't change each year. But doing the Meet the Artists are like genuinely one of my favourite things to do each year. I just love seeing all my interests and favourite things laid out in one spot. Something about it, I find it really satisfying. And it's like a representation of the person I am. So I spend a long time on these. I think I spent around 20 hours on this one, which is kind of crazy. But I just want to get it right to be an accurate representation of the person I am. I also really hate not knowing my favourites of things, which I don't know if that's like weird, but I really hate when like someone asks me what my favourite movie is and I can't give an answer because I can't remember. When someone asks me a question, like any kind of answer just flies out of my head. So having this is honestly really useful for me to figure out what I like. And for me at least, I find having everything laid out like that makes me just feel more certain of myself. Because sometimes, unless I can see the lists in front of me, I almost forget what my interests and opinions on different things are. So they basically reassure to me that I actually have a personality. I also like being able to update my interests because it's something I try and do yearly. It means I can change what I'm into while still keeping a record of all the previous entries. And I like the fact I become more certain in my choices each year. Like, especially for movies for me, I find it really difficult to choose all my favourite movies and be certain in it because I like so many that I find it hard to figure out which ones are my absolute favourites. And like as the years progress, I'm way more certain in the ones that I choose. And I think it's something that as time progresses, I'll definitely have more to add to this and different things I get obsessed with over time. Okay, but now we're actually going to talk about what I've been doing in the background. I didn't realise I had so many thoughts about Meet the Artists, but apparently I do, so that's fun. But we've started off by doing the sketch layer and like the foundation of the artwork on Krita, and then we're going to move to Procreate to add the details and the lists of all my favourite movies, series and stuff like that. I've tried to create quite a simple layout. I've done a list of my favourite things and my least favourite things, a little drawing of myself in my little curled up position that I'm in 90% of the time on my desk chair, and then I've got like an explosion of all my favourite items coming out of my bag. I'm going to go through all my favourites first. I love cuddly toys. They're my favourites. I've got kind of an insane amount of cuddly toys, which are honestly mostly in a garbage bag right now because I don't have any space to put them. I've ran out of space. I love fruit. I eat probably too much fruit. I love dogs. Funky socks, which genuinely one of my reasons of not liking summer as much is because I can't wear socks as much. Daydreaming, comforting movies, rain and storms. I love rainy weather, especially when like you're inside or inside a car and you can hear the raindrops. It's just the best feeling. I love most of the Studio Ghibli movies. They're probably the movies I've watched the most, and they're just beautiful and so inspiring. Recently I've been on a massive DC kick. It started when Superman came out last year, And then since then I've been reading a bunch of comics and trying to get through all the movies, which is kind of hard because some of them kind of suck, to be honest. But I have been trying to get into comics, which is honestly one of the most intimidating things I've started. It's kind of crazy, but it's got me really inspired to make my own comic. I'm a big Hermitcraft fan, which I didn't even kind of realize how much I watch Hermitcraft. I've been watching them since like season 8. No, season 7. So, safe to say, I love Hermitcraft. I find a lot of my obsessions like fade out over time, but Hermitcraft hasn't done that yet. I like bears and raccoons. Other than dogs, they're my favourite animals. And I like to knit. Now we're going to move on to the things I dislike, which I have a lot of dislikes. I only included the main ones, although I did forget to add spiders, but oh well. Spiders can be included now. But I don't like the unknown. I hate anything unknown. I don't like feet. Feet are so weird and they gross me out. I don't know why. I don't like cars or buses. I don't like the unpredictability of it. I really dislike hair in food, or like any type of hair that's not on the head freaks me out. I don't like anything horror or scary. There are some situations where like a horror movie can be good, but the after effects of it is just so horrible for me that I just hate anything horror. And probably my biggest thing is being disliked. I hate being disliked. The thought of someone thinking about me negatively makes me so scared. Okay, now we've got over those things. I can talk about my favourite movies, which I love movies so much. Okay, but they aren't in order. I find it really hard to order my favourite movies because they're all so different and they have different purposes for what kind of mood I'm in. So in no specific order, my favourite movies are Moonrise Kingdom, the Batman movie, which is such a good movie, oh my goodness, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, The Holdovers, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Piglet's Big Movie, Song of the Sea, Porco Rosso, Coraline, and most recently I've been really obsessed with Project Hail Mary. My main thing about movies is if it's visually pleasing, it automatically becomes one of my favourites. And when it's mixed with a good story and nice voice acting, I just love it. I basically decide what my favourite movies are based on how many times I can rewatch it. If I can rewatch it every day for like a week, I know it's my favourite. So these are all movies that I could just rewatch and rewatch over and over again because I love them so much. My favourite series are Gravity Falls, Bluey, and Over the Garden Wall. These three, I have a lot less favourite series, just because series is such a time commitment compared to movies. I like the fact you can watch a movie in one night and be over and done with. And when I do watch series, I like binge them all in one day, and then I feel nauseous because I stay up too late to finish them. But I love Gravity Falls, Bluey, and Over the Garden Wall because I've watched them so many times that I don't feel the need to binge them. And that's when I enjoy watching series, is once I've watched them already and I don't have to worry about getting addicted to it too much. My favourite video games are Animal Crossing, Minecraft, and Stardew Valley. I like comforting games that don't require too much of a time commitment. I do really want to play the Zelda games though. That's on my to-do list. For music, I included some of my favourite albums, but usually I just listen to my favourite songs over and over and over again. But some of my favourite albums are any of Beabadoobie's music I love, but particularly Beatopia is my favourite. Snack Time by the Bare Naked Ladies. I love that album, it's fantastic. Songs and Instrumentals by Adrian Lenker. I really like the album Someday We Will Foresee Obstacles. That's quite a mouthful, by Sid Matters. And I've never attempted to say this out loud, so Carrie and Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. I'm no clue how to say his name. I love the Sundays album, Reading, Writing and Arithmetic. Yeah, I get really obsessed with certain songs. I'm not really too much of an album listener, which I do want to get in the habit of listening to albums more. Books, I stick very specifically to a set number that I reread over and over again. I really don't try to read anything new, which I don't think is great. I guess where most of my reading comes from is honestly reading AO3 and reading comics recently. But I reread Wonder, The Little Prince, Howl's Moving Castle, Little Woman, and basically any art book I can get my hands on. I particularly like my Luca art book and my Turning Red art book, because I think they have a lot of variety in the art supplies they used compared to some of the other movie art books I have. I think you can kind of tell I like Howl's Moving Castle. I love the movie, I love the book, and then the art of the movie. There are a couple of other things I haven't talked about because I didn't really know where to fit them in here. I love Star Wars, but none of them are beating any of my top favourites. I love Spider-Man, but same thing. Like, none of them are reaching the peak of my other movies and series and stuff. I've also included a count of my subscribers and followers on my different social media platforms, so I can use this to look back on where I'm at for everything. But this is the first Meet the Artist of me being an adult, so that's exciting. Okay, and now I'm just going to do a little talk about the objects I have in my display. I've put the logos of the 3 drawing apps I use, the digital apps I use, which is Procreate, Krita and Feather 3D, which is a 3D modelling software, on my iPad. I'm not going to list like all the objects I've got out there because I think you can kind of see, but some of my favourite things on there is my hot glue gun. I wouldn't be anywhere without my hot glue gun. I've got my Animal Crossing Switch, which is my pride and joy. I love my Switch. She's so pretty. I've done a little drawing of my iPad. I actually really want to mention my iPad and my laptop. I drew a little Batman on my iPad, and then I've got my spaceship drawing that I did in the background of the laptop. I guess I should mention I've got a felting needle on there because recently I got into felting. I did a bunch of 2D felting projects. And then my other main art supply is watercolour. I use watercolour the most, probably. Watercolour and ink are my 2 favourite supplies. Traditional supplies, that is. But I'm coming to the end of this drawing. I'm just adding details to all the objects. I'm sorry about the quality of the video isn't great, because I think it's partly because when I sized down the canvas on Procreate, and it meant the video was capturing a larger canvas size, so it was struggling to catch all the details, which is a bit annoying, but it's okay. And I think you probably saw the struggle that was trying to do the background. I still not 100% happy with the background. I don't know what I could have done to improve it. It just, I don't know, the contrast is off to me. So I've included a couple of variants that I could have included. And I honestly feel like I am too scared to go lighter. I always go for dark backgrounds, but maybe I need to go bolder. But I really hope you enjoyed this Meet the Artist 2026. I had loads of fun doing it, but I did spend probably way too long on it. And I hope you join me for the next video, which I'll be focusing back on my comic. So I'd love you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!